All right, Alex. I'm going to drag you back over to competitors. But yeah, I'll rejoin you guys in a sec. All right, bro.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us on yet another Chase Up a Saturday. This is the final round for our Porsche Cup North American Tour, and as you can see, our numbers are greatly diminished owing to the festive season. We do apologize for not providing you with the usual thrilling action, but I'm sure the drivers that are present will do their best to put on a show. We are at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Of course, that is only virtually as we are sitting around here in Jamaica having this race run over our servers. Alongside me is El Presidente, who will be trying to fill in very many capacities here this evening, but he will do his best to be a man of many talents. El Presidente.
And as always, Chad, as eloquent as you normally and typically are, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and you keep thanking me for having you on your own program. Like I don't understand the maths there, but I leave you to your own maths, sir. President's maths are above my pay grade. I digress. As mentioned, Circuit of the Americas, 5.5 kilometers. As we see one of what I assume will be very many spins this evening. In case you are not seeing the graphic on the top right there, the track hot. It is a blistering summer's day in COTA at the moment. So certainly the drivers will be struggling with tire temperatures, tire deg, and grip overall, because once the tires start to get hot, you do tend to have the car stepping out a lot more. Oversteer is likely to be the order of the day. So if the drivers are not able to keep the car in check, and we know that Porsche is already very tail happy, certainly you will be seeing incidents like the one. Was that Kimani that had the incident?
Last week, I think that was Nathan.
Well, nonetheless, yes, we will be seeing incidents like Kimani there running quite wide. Alex Jarrett currently sits on provisional pole. We did start broadcasting a little late, and I do apologize for that as well. But Alex Jarrett sitting on provisional pole at the moment, ahead of Roger Kello, Kimani Easton, and Nathan Bryan. It is, I guess, necessary to note that given the attendees here this evening, Miss Raven Plummer has taken the top spot in this championship. I'm not sure this is the way she would have wanted to be awarded that spot, but given that she is more than 12 points clear of any of the attending drivers today, she does then secure the top spot in this 4-round tour of North America. But regardless, the stakes may not be as high as we would have liked going into the final round. There was so much anticipation for the fact that we had a very tight grid heading into the final round, which could have led to a good championship overall. The fight amongst these drivers could be for third place or a joint second with Kurt Moss, Alex Jarrett, and Roger Kello both sitting on 10 points. Whichever driver secures a victory, as they're currently 1 and 2, will likely be a joint second in the championship with Kurt Moss, who is also not in attendance here this evening. So I guess that is what these drivers are playing for here at the moment.
And to keep, just to add a little bit of extra spice to that, Chad, you do get an extra point for the fastest lap. So with 12 points for P1, with an extra point, that could easily push Kurt into P3 and to tie for P3. So let's see. A little bit more at stake, sadly or unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, it is a season for family and friends. So we do appreciate that the drivers even came out, and the persons coming out to listen to our commentary and watch your racing. As small as the grid may be, the racing still goes on. So we do have to send our appreciation there. But we do know a lot of the drivers and a lot of our typical fans would be with their families getting that last minute shopping, last minute cooking and grocery shopping, etc., etc., and getting ready for the Christmas Day 2023.
Absolutely, and along with the shopping and the prepping for the feast that most families traditionally carry out on Christmas Day, there are all of the gatherings, which I myself I was gonna say victim to, but I don't know if that is a fair term to
I
call
think
myself a victim when I get to go be with family and friends. But yes, I
right.
will be running out a little bit early as I myself am prey to the Christmas season. However, before that, we have a race on our hands. Alex Jarrett ahead of the field by quite some margin at his 1.4 seconds clear of his next nearest combatant. So Alex Jarrett is currently on pace to be a joint first with Raven Plummer at the end of this race if he manages the fastest lap as well. Barring any catastrophe, that is. I don't want to say I put the commentator's curse on everybody, but given the way things are shaping up right now with the next nearest driver, as Roger Keller gets a little bit closer, it is now 1.2 seconds as opposed to the 1.4 it was before. But that is still a second's advantage in pace for Alex Jarrett, which has made quite the splash here towards the end of the 2023 season for the JSRA. And we hope to see him continue into next year. We have certainly been blessed with some brilliant talent throughout the year, and we do like to see the development and the provision of new talent to continue to challenge our regular drivers as well as some of the others that will be joining throughout the series. We do have some rookies that have been missing in action for some time, but certainly when they see that the talent is there, they would want to be a part of it to play a little bit of catch up.
Well, Chad, with 30 seconds left in qualifying, I think this could be the starting grid, although Kimani has set a faster time throughout the week. So, maybe there is a possibility of starting in P2, but with 4 drivers, I guess the pressure for a high qualifying position is a little bit off the table. But with one more lap remaining, let's see what he can do. It would be funny because there was a discussion prior to the start of qualifying that I would promise not to show Nathan on stream because he doesn't want the commentator's curse. And 3 times, every single time I've touched on to him, 2 seconds later, he has found himself in a spin. So I think we may, unfortunately, with 4 drivers, it's going to be difficult not to take a look at you from time to time, Nathan. So if you are listening, I am apologizing from now. But that being said, Kimani is up on his personal time. So let's see where he can improve. Maybe see if he is the last person on the grid. So let's see if he can take that second position. He is still 7/10 off of the fastest overall time. So let's see
Yeah,
what
I
can be
do
done.
apologize for having to step away there for a moment, Stevie. But yeah, no, looking at the grid, there is quite a spread, and I hope that doesn't play out in the race the same way that the grid is so very well spread at the moment, because that is a second between Alex and Roger, another half a second to Kimani, and a further 3 seconds to Nathan. Nathan looking like he is just getting up to grips with the car around this track, as Kimani going a little bit deep there, and that certainly will not help his lap time, as he is the last driver to complete a flying lap. And he has backed out, it seems. My apologies there. And he is just on a trundle back to the pits at the moment to get us going in a few moments' time. But yeah, looking at the spread of the field, we do hope that that is not representative of the racing that we're gonna get. And again, the hot track will cause the tires to react differently throughout the course of the race. So I think prepare to see some pit stops at unconventional times, dare I say, in trying to assess the situation. Maybe Kivani Eastman there trying to prep his pit entry, just knowing that he will have to take It has to maximize the time in the pit entry, as that is where lots of drivers tend to lose a whole lot of time. And we will be going racing with Alex Jarrett on pole position. Roger Keller starts alongside him, followed by a second row of Kimani Eastman and Nathan Bryan. 4 drivers overall competing here today. Certainly not the numbers that we have been accustomed to this entire series, but again, we are talking about that time of year where friends and family are prioritized above a lot of other things. So we do understand and we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us and for the drivers out there participating as well. But we will be getting going racing in a moment's time. 50 minutes to determine whether or not anyone can tie with Raven Plummer for the top spot. The 2 drivers in contention for that, Alex Jarrett and Roger Keller. The victor of, if any of those 2 are the victor with the fastest lap, they tie for a joint P1 in this championship. And but I think Raven might still be ahead based on position when all is said and done. However, semantics on the points tally will read Raven Plummer 23 points, and if either of those 2 do the clean sweep, 23 points. The semantics of it is for the record books. However, we hope to get going any moment now. You will see the drivers lining up on the grid as El Presidente expertly places the cameras to watch the grid go racing. Yeah, I am in anticipation here of what we will see. Certainly there will be some excitement on the track given the temperatures. 37 degrees is no laughing matter. I would not want to be anywhere experiencing those temperatures regularly. It does get that hot in Jamaica from time to time, but I tend to try and avoid the outdoors during peak sun. For a variety of reasons, one of which is I wish to not die of heat stroke.
Oh boy. And keep in mind, Chaddy, that it is 37 degrees ambient temperature. The track temperatures are 41 degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
so
man, that is bun up foot bottom temperature if you step outside barefoot.
You were complaining about last week's tires burning up at Road Atlanta in the evening race, so I can't imagine how it's going to be for the drivers for this week. So maybe that's possibly why the turnout might be low, Chad, because there has been a reputation
Yep.
for persons not necessarily enjoying COTA. So who knows?
Yeah, not enjoying COTA and then not enjoying COTA at these temperatures. Because certainly we saw a night race where, based on my experience with that track, even I had the same experience as the drivers and I was going nowhere near as quick as they were. That the tire temps were running hot, particularly when you go through fast corners. And most of Sector 1 actually here around COTA is quite a quick section. When you're going through the S's, it's a lot of change of direction and you are on throttle for some of it and coasting through other sections of it. So it certainly does not help that the track temperature is as high as it is when you are putting so much weight through the tires and direction change through the tires as well. But that is for the more talented than myself to determine. As we have our 4 drivers lining up, we see a 5th car on the grid. That is the car of one Nicholas Donald, who is our resident steward. So he will be taking himself back to the pits and staying out of the driver's way. But we have 4 cars lined up and we are awaiting the lights for them to go racing. And certainly when they go racing, we expect to see some action here this evening to close out the final race of 2023 for the JSRA. We have the 6 lights, and as they go out, we are off, and Alex Jarrett looks to have had a very good reaction time. They're getting away. Oh, and there's immediately contact And that looks like Alex Jarrett coming together with one Roger Keller. And he is currently waiting on Roger to get back into contention as Kimani Eastman and Nathan Bryan are trundling their way into the lead. And now there is a job of catching those drivers for the two drivers that displayed the most pace of the four drivers on the grid. So certainly they can, and they are now 9 seconds adrift of the two leaders, Kimani Easton and Nathan Bryan. And Nathan is already falling outside of a second for Kimani Eastman. Well, not quite, actually. He has now closed right back up to Kimani Easton, and the two drivers look to be raging a battle for the lead of the race, maybe knowing that this is a crucial time for these two drivers, as it looks like Roger Keller almost immediately had a spin following Alex Jarrett waiting on him and finds himself a further 9 seconds back. But Nathan Bryant currently alongside Kimani Eastman, vying for the lead of this race here in the early stages. And I'm not sure how wise this is from these two drivers. You have been given a golden opportunity here, gentlemen. Not the time to be fighting it out amongst yourselves to try and take the top spot. But Nathan Bryan sweeps around the outside of Kimani Eastman. I believe that was at turn 12. Is that what that was? My apologies. I am not looking at the track map. It is turn 11. My apologies. But yeah, these two drivers are still battling it out, but what they're failing to realize is you were given an 11-second buffer to cars much quicker than yourself. The fighting is not going to help you in trying to maintain or keep that gap. You are giving Alex Jarrett a chance to get back into this race a lot quicker than he would have under normal circumstances.
Especially, you're going to be burning up your tires fighting. So it's already, the track temperature is already up to 42 degrees Celsius. So at this point,
certainly these drivers are not doing themselves any favors, as you see Alex Jarrett managing to close a second there through one corner, mark you. These two drivers not displaying the best of their racecraft here this evening in terms of trying to take advantage of the, I wanted to say blunder, but I mean, it is the opening lap. Things do happen. It did, however, seem like an unforced error there from Alex, just kind of turning into Roger Keller. But I digress. We are still racing, and these two drivers are still going at it. And I am not sure if they are understanding the assignment at the moment.
I thought Kimani actually backed off, but I guess he does have more pace, or should have more pace than Nathan, so maybe he's just trying to get back in front as quickly as possible. But as you said, that's literally just putting Alex right back into the mix, which you
can see them rounding the corner there at turn 11 once more, with Alex Jarrett coming through the very same corner moments after. Yeah, he is already closing in quite nicely, and that is not what these two leaders should have been doing with that advantage, although Kimani Easton has dropped back substantially to Nathan Bryan, maybe giving him a bit of space, or Nathan has found some pace here in the opening stages of the race, maybe playing a little bit of possum in qualifying, although that is not time to play possum, so I'm not sure if he just figured the car out in the moment at the start of the race there and is using that to his advantage. But we are heading on to the third lap in a few moments time, as the drivers are currently rounding the turn 17-18 complex, and this, well, yeah, gaps are extending, and as you can see, having
Alex in the background there. Chad, all I'm saying is, with 4 drivers there, as Nathan sets his personal best for the day at 2:14. I know he was struggling to find pace, so that is a good sign, but Alex is 2 seconds clear and catching. But as you said, the race, we're getting a little bit of action. So let's see how Kimani can catch back up to Nathan. And then when the inevitable Mr. Jarrett comes into the picture, how will Kimani defend and place that car to, prolong what Could be the inevitable, but you never know. Kimani
I
has
mean,
shown steady growth.
there are some good overtaking opportunities around this track. That very long straight between turns 11 and 12, as well as the start-finish straight, is quite long, and those two corners do open up quite nicely to give the driver a fair chance at an overtake. So, if the pace is as overwhelming in terms of Alex Jarrett being quicker than the drivers ahead, and he is closing quite rapidly. He is now just 3 seconds behind Kimani Eastman, and you can see him there in the background getting ever larger in the rearview mirror of Kimani Eastman. And I assume we'll have to switch to the tail camera in a few moments' time to see Alex Jarrett closing in on Kimani Eastman there as we're still riding on board with him. But Nathan Bryan managing his race quite nicely, having gotten ahead of Kimani, and I did see that Kimani had a bit more pace, but clearly Kimani's pace is an inconsistent one, which is giving Nathan Bryan the advantage here because Nathan Bryan seems to have a more consistent measure of that Porsche than Kimani does. But the gap isn't quite extending. He did extend a little bit, and then Kimani has closed him back down, but maybe a little too late here for Eastman, who will be squarely in the crosshairs of one Alex Jarrett, as Nathan Bryan has a moment, and there he is in the background, having lost the lead. Boy, as I mentioned him, you didn't even have to put the camera on him. I just had to call him name. That is very unfortunate there for Nathan Bryan. Alex Jarrett going quicker, still improving on his previous fastest lap, and the man on the charge here is Alex Jarrett in these opening stages. I believe the pit window opens at minute 30. El Presidente, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, it should.
So we have another 12 minutes before we get into the pit stop window, which will be 20 minutes long and close with 10 minutes to go in the race. So for drivers like Roger Keller, who seems to have finally found his footing, I think.
Well, no, because it was just because Nathan spun out.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now, as he is.
It's a little surprising, yeah.
Yeah,
But
he is 20 seconds behind the leader, Kimani Eastman. But here is Alex Jarrett arriving on the scene, and dare I say, this will not last long for Kimani Eastman. I don't think there will be much for him in terms of defense, if not down this straight by the time we get back to start-finish straight. Maybe even before, depending on how aggressive Alex decides to be. We could be looking at a new race leader going on to lap 5. We will certainly see if that is the case. Not quite close enough, and he actually dropped back a little bit there, maybe trying to get a little too aggressive on the power, but he certainly closes that gap right back down immediately.
Ooh, and there goes Kimani
having a spin. We did say that this is likely to happen. The drivers certainly have to be very ginger on the throttle pedal here this evening, knowing full well that these cars do not like to be pushed in these kinds of conditions, because even in normal conditions you tend to overheat these tires. But Alex Jarrett seems to have the measure of that car quite nicely to this stage of the race, and now he can just scamper off into the distance all by his lonesome, because he is already 11 seconds clear of anybody else. Roger Keller, who could have been the only driver to challenge one Alex Jarrett here this evening in terms of pace, is looking worse for wear, and maybe just dreading as to when the pit window will open so he can get onto a fresh set of tires. I am now wondering, El Presidente, might we see a 2-stop race here this evening?
2:13, nice.
A quick stop at the opening of the pit window to get some fresh tires on, given that the degradation would be very high in track temps like those, and another one towards the end of the pit window, because that would be about 2 20-minute stints essentially, and a final 20-minute stint to the end of the race. So look to see if any of these drivers are thinking about that, particularly when you start to have spins. And there is Kimani Eastman running wide, and Nathan Bryan taking full advantage of this. gets back into P2 of this race, and you'll see Roger Keller there in the background, maybe wanting to vie for his P2 back by the time these drivers are done scrapping, because certainly that will not be the end of it. Kimani will be looking to take the fight back to Nathan, and Roger has found himself now close to these drivers, but all three of these drivers more than 17 seconds off the lead of the race. Alex Jarrett now in a league all his own by himself, pulling a Jaden Harrison at Road Atlanta last week. But certainly there was more action up and down the field to be had in that race than in this one. But certainly these drivers are treating us to something of a fight, and that is a driver disconnecting, it seems. There's Nathan Bryan DNFing as he has been disconnected.
That is unfortunate.
So we are down to 3, ladies and gentlemen. Or not. Okay. So Nathan Bryan still runs in second position, or did run in second position. It seems as though he was having a little bit of internet issues, and finally it has conceded. The glitching looks to have gotten too bad, and there he went. So yes, we are in fact down to 3 at the moment, with Roger Keller about to catch one Kimani Eastman, who has been having a rough go of it. So I do really think that these drivers might look to go 2-stop today, and if that is the case, I am even that much more disappointed that we do not have more drivers on the grid, because that would have made for all kinds of excitement here this afternoon if we had multiple drivers thinking 2-stop strategy might be the fastest way to get to the end and ensure that you get to the end with tires that will work. But still lots of time to go. We will see if anything comes to fruition from that. But Roger Keller slowly but surely eating into the deficit to Kimani Eastman. The gap now just above a second, and will certainly be dwindling under that 1 second mark any moment now. It did dip below it for a second, but Eastman able to get a little bit more pace out of that car, and maybe Roger having the same problem that Kimani is, just a little bit of inconsistency, and it results.
He's been about 2:13s for the past 3 laps. I think he might just be picking where he's going to take Kimani. Maybe this was his goal, or maybe going into the final turn. Oh, will he go faster through here?
And he certainly is thinking about it, but he's a little too far back, as they have just gone through turn 12, I believe that was, my apologies. Heading into the very complex sequence of corners, which I think is part of the reason so many drivers dislike this track. When you get into the 13, 14, 15, 16 complex, those corners come at you quite quickly, and there are some difficult braking zones amongst those corners. But we're into the 17, 18 complex, my apologies. And maybe Roger thinking, I will get Kimani into turn 1. But Kimani, they're running very, very wide, and Roger may not have to wait until turn 1 to get it done, as Kimani rejoins behind Roger Keller. But with 24 seconds between Roger and Alex Jarrett, I think Alex has this one more or less secure, as long as he can keep it on the road and avoid trouble during the pit sequence, dare I say. But we have 5 minutes until the pit window opens. Will Kimani Eastman dive into the pits early to get some tires on? I'm not sure how he is feeling about the grip at the moment, but through this section of the track, yep, there it is. I was saying that he looked quite stable.
Yeah,
but I was anticipating that wiggle, and it certainly followed up almost immediately. I'm not gonna say that was the commentator's curse. I'm just saying I know the art of racing, and I did expect to see that at some point. Maybe Kimani struggling a little bit more than the 2 drivers ahead, because he has had a spin or 2 himself, and that will not help your tires in these conditions. So Yeah, I think he might have to take an early pit stop and then possibly look to pit again by the time we get to the end of the pit window. But that is one man's opinion, and I am nobody's crew chief today. I am a commentator. So we will see what is doing by the time we get to the pit window. But I will say, El Presidente, despite the turnout here today, we have had quite an eventful year as we can take a look back at the year in totality, given that this is our final race of 2023. And it has been a year of growth, a year of development, and we have come quite some ways in terms of what we have been capable of in the past 12 months. TB?
Sorry, Chad. I was talking with Nathan to figure out what happened, but he should be
Oh.
rejoining now. So I did miss the last 2 minutes of your talk. I am sorry.
Oh, right at the point where I asked you a question because I was saying, whilst we're at this period in the race, it is a good chance to look back at 2023 as a whole for the
Mm-hmm.
JSRA and the growth that has taken place over that 12
Jeez,
month period.
man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so you are the best man to give us the insight as to what a year it has been for the JSRA.
No, I mean, honestly, Chad, the growth from where we've started to where we've become, or what we've become, the partnerships that we've established with the different entities, and the future plans that we have and collaborations that we have in store. Words can't really put in excitement what we've done and what we have to come. So, truthfully, 2023 was just, I know we used to say it, it's just a start. I think we're past the start now. We are on our way. Our competitions, I believe, yes, we've had some tough hurdles, but diamonds aren't made without pressure. So, the collaborations that we've built, I am excited for them for 2024 because we have different leagues and teams that we'll be inviting to race with us so that we have full grids. Our new license system, I believe, will inherently give us the best form of racing that we can get, which is just, clean, hard racing. It will give drivers an opportunity and a community that they can enjoy, instead of going somewhere and just being crashed out and not having a means to, plead your case, and the dramas attached to motorsports is just too much. So we do try to have as good a community that's conducive to everybody's liking. Something I am excited to have come up now is our public lobbies. So we'll have like our local tracks, and we'll have the installed missing contents for anybody who wants to just have some fun, enjoy, see what sim racing is about, and come in a competitive environment, see what it is, test it out, see the drivers that you're racing with, and see if you want to join us. So all of the information is in the Discord. We implore everybody to follow us on Instagram and all of our social medias, which you should be able to see pop up on your screen any second now. But 2024, Chad, is going to be amazing. The calendar that we have, there's going to be a lot of collaborations with different entities like the Nova Racing, Artito Racing, Caribbean Motor Racing Sim Club, and many other teams. We even have talks. Well, a lot will be said. I won't bore you with the specifics for now, but everything will be posted on our social medias. I can't thank you guys enough, including you, being our head commentator. Even seeing the growth of you and our different members of the JSRA. All I can do is commend you guys. I'm proud to be a part of this institution and this organization. I'm proud to have you guys on board, and I am proud of what we've accomplished and what's yet to come. So if you do like this racing, you want to be a part of this racing, please reach out to our social medias. We're here. This is awesome. This is my favorite season, so we do even have a promotion. So if there is anybody from the Jamaican region that wants to get involved with sim racing, we do have a promotion where we are giving away a free membership as well as a trial for you and a few friends to come in and test your skills on sim racing and seeing if it's something that you'd be interested in. And the beauty of it is the different amount of, or the different facets that you have involved. So, you know, we have drifting, you have drag racing, you have open world, you have circuit racing, rally, etc. We have everything you can imagine, and we try to tend for everybody's needs. So, I think that being said, I am happy for the season, and I am happy to have you all on board with us. And for the fans that are listening, please stay tuned to a lot more to come.
Well said. Ever the humble man, El Presidente, giving everybody else credit except himself, like he isn't the mastermind behind the whole operation. But I digress. Yes, it well said overall. We have seen tremendous growth, both talent-wise and in terms of participation and collaboration. So, ooh, and Alex Jarrett there. Was that Alex? Who was that? That was Roger running a little bit wide there. As I'm noting, El Presidente, I don't actually see a pit window on the timing portal, so I am not sure if the drivers are aware, but I haven't seen anybody dive into the pits yet, so...
No, it's open for the drivers. So we may not be able to see it for whatever reason, I'm not sure why. But the drivers can see it. Our chief steward just confirmed for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are well into the pit window at this point. It's been open for 2 minutes and change. Nobody yet to pull the trigger, so clearly everybody thinking that their tires are fine. Maybe not so much. Although Nathan Bryan should be on fresher rubber than everybody else, having had to rejoin the servo and finds himself 3 laps down. But that's the kind of diligence I commend, despite the fact that you were disconnected, powers beyond your control. You rejoin, you were committed to being part of the spectacle.
Definitely.
And despite being a couple of laps down, you know, you're giving it your all, trying to
Definitely.
compete nonetheless. And I mean, this is motor racing. You're 3 laps down, but you never know what kind of chaos can take place.
Hey,
And
and at the end of the day, 4th position gives you points, so why not?
That is correct.
And I think he wasn't starting to enjoy himself a little bit there at the end, right before the disconnection. So it is unfortunate, but it's technology, sadly.
Yep. And another thing to note with that kind of thinking is you are gaining experience every
There you go.
kilometer you drive. So, I mean, even in an instance like this, you're still learning the car, you're still figuring out what can go wrong and adjusting your craft. Speaking from personal experience, I know that where I am now coming versus where I was
Oh, trust me.
6 months ago, even
Man.
night and day, really.
Man.
So yeah, all of the kilometers you drive certainly do impact the output that you bring to the table further down the road. So it might not seem prudent to rejoin this race 3 laps down, but you're learning different conditions, you're learning how the cars react in certain states, and that will all help your racecraft overall. So kudos to Nathan there for sticking it out despite the environmental interruptions, and that is the kind of diligence we like to see from the members of the JSRA. Another person might have looked at that and thought, sure, what's the point? Let me just move on to something else. But a man that is serious about his craft will understand that, yeah, I might be down 3 laps, yeah, I might not be competing for anything beyond the 4th position that I am in, but overall I can learn a thing or two, I can gain some experience, and certainly a track like COTA is actually a good place to gain some experience on, because you have so many different kinds of corners throughout this racetrack. The section that Alex Jarrett is currently going through is shared by a few other racetracks. Suzuka, for one, has an S's section just like that. Silverstone has Maggots and Beckett's. And there is another track that Road Atlanta even has an S's section through Sector 1. So, yeah, they're, figuring out those corners help you along other racetracks. There are a couple of hairpins here, and we know quite a few racetracks do share hairpins. And well, there's not really a chicane anywhere around this track now that I think about it. But my point being, this is all in aid of your racecraft. But we are we're about 12 laps in as Alex Jarrett is rounding out Sector 2, heading into Sector 3. And about at the halfway mark of this race, and he sits comfortably ahead of Roger Keller, who found himself back in second position, my apologies, and Kimani Eastman a further 30 seconds behind Roger Keller. So all three drivers really doing their own race at the moment, as is Nathan Bryan. So all four drivers, my apologies, but even so, doing your own race comes with its own challenges. You have to be managing tires, you have to be thinking about pit stops, you have to be managing pace to ensure that drivers behind aren't catching at a rate that puts you at risk should an incident occur, and you have to be keeping it on the road most of all. That sounds simple enough, but it really is not in a lot of the cases, particularly not when the track is running at 42 degrees Celsius, ladies and gentlemen. That hot. I don't even drink tea at that temperature sometimes.
For sure. No, man, you have to make that. You have to make that sit. You have to pour that out and you have to let it sit. You have to put it in for the fan. It must be insane. Oh boy. This is one of my favorite tracks to watch though, Chad. I don't know what it is. I think it always gives us good action, no matter the sport, whether it's Formula One, any facet of motorsports that races at this track is always good to watch.
Yeah, no, certainly. I do hear a lot of the drivers complain about this track, but from a spectator's point of view,
It's
it
beautiful.
certainly is a fun track to watch because you have so many different kinds of corners. As I mentioned, you have all of the S's through Sector 1, uphill climbs, downhill blasts, long straightaways, extreme hairpins, and a technical section after turn 12 to about turn 16. That section is a very technical section of racetrack, and then a flat out section through 17, 18, and then a quick right hander through 19. I mean, overall, this is a battle tested lap.
Oh gosh.
A driver that can manage Circuit of the Americas is no driver to scoff at. Trust me on that one. But yeah, we are approaching the 20-minute mark with almost 20 minutes to go here in this race. Kimani Eastman really is struggling there. He has dropped a further 19 seconds behind Roger Keller, and I'm not sure if any of the drivers have pit. Maybe the stewards can confirm, but I haven't seen any pit stops yet. But
I have not seen any. No pits as yet.
So we rage on, no pit stops. The drive was with 20 minutes to go, and this is actually quite surprising for me. I thought for sure these tires would be balling for mommy at this stage of the game because that track with those temperatures, that just speaks to the caliber of drivers that we have, that they're managing to keep these tires going at this stage. As you see Roger Keller there with a little wiggle coming out of turn 19. Kind of tells you all you need to know. These tires are being put through their paces, and to keep them going when we know this car likes to overheat its tires, and then the track is hot enough as it is. Boy, they're making things happen out there this evening, and I do commend these drivers for pushing through at this stage of the game. And the beauty of this is, can you imagine being sat in a car that don't have AC because race cars
That's so where you're going with this.
race cars do not have AC, ladies and gentlemen. That is a lot of weight for very little gain.
Neither does the race suit or the helmet. Well,
You know what I mean? So to be sat in that car, race suit on, and that race suit is fireproof, ladies and gentlemen. So you know that material ain't no joke. With a helmet on your head,
yeah, thank God it's virtual.
37 degrees ambient, 41 degrees track. No, sir.
Step out in that and you're seeing purple, blue, and yellow. One shade.
Yeah, man. It certainly is good that we have the virtual environment to run these harsh conditions in. Um, to real racing drivers out there that do put their bodies through these kind of condition, hats off. Me, I will sit nicely in my chair with AC and fan blowing and drive those extreme temperatures virtually all day, every day. That is my choice. And we see the race leader there, Alex Jarrett, in for his pit stop. And first driver to pull the trigger with 8 minutes to go in the pit window. Again, we're not seeing it displayed as we normally would, but the drivers are still seeing that pit window showing up for them in their own setups. So they do have 8 minutes to pit, and Alex Jarrett pulling the trigger first. I would assume there isn't much advantage to staying out at this point because these drivers are all, the gaps are quite substantial. So either get the pit stop done and out of the way, or push on and see if maybe you can slow the driver down a little bit or gain some advantage in some way, shape, or form. But he's out and he is 6 seconds behind Roger Keller, so certainly there will be no advantage in a few moments' time to staying out on track. And Kimani Eastman has fallen that much further down the order. Not having the best of days there, Kimani Eastman. He will soon be at risk for Nathan Bryan unlapping himself at least one of the laps that he is down with Kimani Eastman. But the two leaders are in a race all by themselves, and at the moment Roger Keller leads, but it is not the net lead, as he is only 6 seconds ahead of Alex Jarrett, who has already pitted, and so Roger Keller having to take a pit stop after this. That was about a 40-second pit stop for Alex, somewhere in that region it looks like. So yeah, just add 40 to whatever that gap is, or rather subtract 40 from whatever that gap is, and that is Roger's net position. So we will see if he takes his pit stop in a few moments' time to get us going with the flurry of pit stops. I say flurry, but there's a total of 4 pit stops to happen. So yeah.
Wait, chat. We do have an offline ACC race tomorrow. Will you be taking a part in it?
Boy, I heard Mount Panorama and the coward catch up in on me because that track is no joke. And despite how well I know the car that I'll be driving, there's a fun fact there, but I won't spoil the surprise.
You can't bring it up and not say it.
Oh no. We're just building a little bit of anticipation, even though it's offline and it will not be streamed, for people like El Presidente who will be seeing it. Let's just say he might not be sure what I'm driving tomorrow.
Okay, man, it's strategizing. Understood.
or Mans has changed cars. Yeah, indeed.
Right.
If for those that have seen me race in ACC, once upon a time it was a BMW. It is no longer a BMW.
Yeah, I know you changed it already. From the BMW.
Oh, well, the Ferrari might also be gone.
Oh, wow. Okay, noted.
Yeah. The Ferrari was nice. I'm not gonna lie. I did like the Ferrari, but there's a car I might like a little bit more than the Ferrari there, I say.
Interesting. I did hear from our head steward, our chief steward, Nicholas Donald, that he thinks it's the Aston Martin, the V8.
A car I've driven in the past. We did practice on that car for the WSS 12 hours of Spa
Correct.
that the team of five used. Unfortunately, I did not make the cut, or rather, let's not say it that way. I feel like I surrendered my position to drivers that also needed to gain the experience of doing that series, and took up the capacity of chief engineer on that particular day. And we did quite well in that race. Fought from dead last to finishing P14 on the road.
14, right, right.
And that was dead last, ladies and gentlemen, was 54th position. Let's just make that clear. So throughout 12 hours to climb back 40 positions to the dot. Yeah, that was a mean feat of racing. I liked the Aston around Spa. I don't so much like the Aston around other tracks, as our race leader Roger Keller comes in and hands Alex Jarrett back the lead, and Alex Jarrett stamping his authority with a new fastest lap of the race, well down into the 211s now, towards the end stages here with about 13 and a half minutes to go before we take the checkered flag. But yeah, whether or not I will be debuting that car tomorrow at that race, we will see. I have to put a few laps in around that track and see if it is manageable, given that I am learning a new car once more.
Right,
And
right,
whilst learning that new car, it's not that easy to jump back into the old one. I promise you that. They drive very, very
yeah,
differently.
right. Especially in
So,
ACC.
yep.
Agreed. Well,
So,
I will be trying to join you over the Christmas period. I will be taking a little leave of absence from the managerial duties to see if I can get the driver cap back on. So hopefully you will see me. All things being, I get off of work early enough.
and the
Um,
prodigal son returns to the origins of the JSRA. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is how this venture started. Got this man into a sim and he just never looked back, so much so he made a business out of it. Can you imagine? That is passion at its finest.
and
So,
it was you that I was racing with at nights. Imagine that. Oh boy.
uh,
But
well, yes,
yes.
certainly we'll look for what El Presidente can bring to the table. Joining a list
Oh
of.
no, man, we're on the back with you. Don't worry, sir. Don't make it sound no sweeter than it needs to be. No, man, I am rusty times tress. I am. Trust me, you guys will have a laugh. So
Again, ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember El Presidente is one of those men that believe in humility at all times. So he
it's
can
true.
tell you anything you want. Tell you, El Presidente have some pace.
There's a reason why I come in on the non-streamed races. Oh boy. But yes, that being said, I am looking forward to a restful season, and as I do wish for um, our fans as well as our commentators, Unadolph, deal with miserable me for a few days, um, and then we will start preparing or finish preparing for the season to come up. But that being said, let's enjoy ourselves a little bit. I am looking forward to the next few days of rest, as I hope you will be as well. Um,
Absolutely. And we're about to round out the pit window as we have about 50
Ooh,
seconds left. And Alex Jarrett there having a moment in the lead of the race, but he is so comfortably in the lead. And actually, Roger Keller now having a chance to close that gap as Roger Keller is coming through turn 9. And Alex Jarrett had that moment actually in this section of the racetrack. We will see what the gap is in a few moments' time. But It's not as close as you might think, as Alex Jarrett just went through turn 11, which Roger Keller is now approaching 13 seconds as we have finally been updated. So yeah, he can only afford about one more of those moments before it becomes a problem. But an uncharacteristic mistake there from Alex Jarrett, who has driven an almost perfect race, barring the start. However, back to El Presidente's point, yeah, no, it is great to cap the year. Would have liked to go out with a bit more of a bang in terms of the grid numbers and so on, but we do understand that, again, it is that time of year where family and friends get together and celebrate, one, the year past, two, the holiday season. And unwind from the year that has gone. And El Presidente will not approve of this joke, but my mouth tired and I have other uses for it, so it's good to get a little bit of a break from the commentator's chair, and I can see the look on El Presidente's face despite the fact that he is not next to me at the moment.
Yeah, man. Nick is not watching tonight. I know he would have definitely came out in the comments after that one. Anyways, that being said, good to know, sir. But that's for your own use. Uh, as you did say though, I'm wondering if maybe when Alex had that little spin, did he maybe burn up his tires a little bit because he hasn't really pulled away. Unless he's just saying conserve at this point. Just maintain my race. Finish while I'm ahead. No need for a faster slap at this rate. But Roger has been keeping at a consistent 13 seconds there. Well, slowly going up to 14 now.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think in moments like that, a driver assesses the situation, and if you are comfortably leading the race and you don't want to jeopardize it, you just, manage the gap, don't push too hard. There's no need for heroics at this stage of the game. I don't think, given the drivers behind that managed to keep those tires going for almost 35 minutes of this race, having had multiple incidents, I don't think the tires would have gone off completely. Maybe Alex just trying to work them back into the optimum window, um, and also managing his race a little bit in terms of keeping the gap
yep.
to Roger Keller behind. So yeah, he seems to be on top of things at the moment, and that is one of those moments that a racing driver has to make a business decision, as I like to call them. um, it's all well and good to be pushing flat out, trying to get the most out of the car, but it's also about knowing how best to manage your own race and keep all of the factors in mind. The mark of a good racing driver is not just pace, but it is the wherewithal of the things that you need to be managing around the racetrack, as well as planning, strategy, and consistency. So Alex Jarrett now has to think about all those things, but he is extending that gap now. That gap
Yep.
almost 15 seconds, so maybe has reignited the tires and getting going again in his usual fashion. He does hold the fastest lap already, so certainly does not need to push for
Right.
that. And I think he's fairly safe with a 211. No driver, not even in quali, managed a 211. So should be holding it together ever so nicely here, to take that full 13 points with just over 6 minutes to go, to get that 13 points and finish a joint first for the championship with Raven Plummer, who is missing in action, as is all of the drivers down to fourth, I believe it is, are missing currently. Jaden Harrison, Raven Plummer,
Kurt Moss.
Kurt Moss, and who was
Was
the driver in fourth position?
I'll have to double check.
Vince da
Right.
Silva.
Who did have to drop out last minute due to some
Yeah.
Christmas duties.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. It is that time of year, as we keep saying, folks. But we here at the JSRA certainly want to thank you for the year in totality, the growth we have seen both in viewership and participation. is nothing to scoff at, and certainly the followers that we have gained, the viewers that tune in, week out, some of them that we now know by name, they're here so often. But it's wonderful to see that we have made not only fans and friends, well, fans, but friends, I should say, in terms of the following that we have gathered and the persons that have shown their interest in being a part of this growing community for simulation racing here in Jamaica. But we are no longer limited to Jamaica, dare I say. We have partnerships all across the Caribbean, in other countries worldwide. So it is good to see that we have been able to collaborate with so many different sectors of people, and the diversity continues to grow. Asians, Europeans, North Americans, Caribbean, South Americans. We've covered almost all 6 continents. I was about to say 7, but there is no covering for Antarctica. So 6 continents that we could reach. The only one I don't think we've reached yet is Australia. So El Presidente, there's your market goal for 2024. As Nathan Bryan is having another moment there, the man tell you don't put the camera upon him, don't.
Nathan, I cannot apologize enough. That was my bad.
Oh my goodness.
But no, again, I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. I love my team, Chad. You guys are awesome. I couldn't ask for a better team.
Yep,
The
and
racing is awesome.
yeah, no, certainly. We do look to come back bigger and better for 2024, and hope that the growth of 2023 is exponential in the year to come. But we don't want to be greedy, we just want to be good.
Oh, I should let you know, we do have updated graphics to come as well again.
Yeah,
So
man.
by
El
time
Presidente trying to get us to look as real as possible.
as real as possible, man. By time the next season starts, we will have real penalty. We'll have updated graphics to what we currently have, and even additives to our streaming, such as instant replay and all sorts of everything that we can possibly do to improve on the experience for you, our viewers. So the racing will be good. I can't wait for Mr. Dillon here to give his take in which races he will be a part of for the 2024 season. But for now, we will take a little rest. Sorry, Chad, you were saying.
When you find somebody to fill my chair ever so nicely, everything.
Oh, you think you get right?
That's why I prefaced is what I did there. I did point out that my chair has to be filled before I can get back
Right.
actively participating in these races. And ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget that there are new releases to come in 2024 as well. I believe AC2 is scheduled for release next year. So certainly there might be more facets of racing to come here with the JSRA, and I know we have been looking into another platform, which I will leave unsaid for now because I don't know how far we have gotten into the progress of getting onto that platform. So just stay tuned to our social medias. You will certainly be kept up to date on the comings and goings of the JSRA in the year to come. But we are approaching the end of this race as well as the 2023 campaign for the JSRA, with about a minute to go here in this one. Alex Jarrett still looking quite comfortable out in front despite the moment there. He really is pulling a Jaden Harrison from Road Atlanta, just having
Most
his
certainly.
moment, having his pirouette moment prior to dominating, stamping to a 20-second victory at the moment. He should be rounding the last 2 corners. That is turn 19, heading down to the final corner to start, dare I say, his victory lap, because This will be the last lap of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Time will elapse before he gets back to the line and we can ride on board with him for the final lap here of the 2023 campaign. Braking for turn one, a very wide corner that you have to do your best to manage going through, and then into the sweeping S's from turn 2 to turn 9. Do I have that right? From turn 2 to turn 6, and then the following section is just an extension of the S's with a quick right-hander there, left-hander, my apologies, through turn 7, climb the hill through turn 8, quick left-hander through turn 9, and then blast down to turn 10, which is the first of 2 hairpins that follow consecutive corners. And the turn 10 exit is the longest straight around this 5.5 kilometer track, and a long run down to turn 12. Did I say turn 10 or turn 11? My god, I'm getting flustered here as we are wrapping up the year. Very unlike me. Maybe I'm getting in the Christmas spirit a little too early, and this is not the time to be seeing Alex Jarrett DNFing. Oh my goodness. That is quite unfortunate. I am lost for words. That was a strange moment to witness Alex Jarrett there with 8 corners to go has disconnected, and that puts Roger Kello into the lead of this race. And Roger Kello now rounds turn 16, heading to the turn 17-18 complex. And I am still trying to wrap my head around what just happened. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Roger Kello will round the final corner. Well, Nathan Bryan will remain in P4 because Alex Jarrett would only be 1 lap down. But he has rejoined and sits in the pits at the moment, but will only manage to come home P3 after what was a brilliant drive. And once again, environmental factors playing a role here this evening. But that is certainly not what you expected to see there, as Kimani Eastman will now cross the line to take the, well, no, he is still quite some distance from the line. Nathan Bryan will actually cross the line to classify before Kimani Eastman does. Nathan Bryan now will go across the line to finish 3 laps down. And Kimani Eastman is rounding the turn 17-18 complex with 2 corners to go before we wrap up this season, in a moment there that, dare I say, robbed the man that showed the biggest promise here this afternoon. And I am still kind of shaken, dare I say, by the fact that he has gone out to finish that lap. Kudos to him. Yeah, no, I'm still just trying to wrap my head around all of this. Alex Jarrett, the man that looked mostly dominant here despite a total of 2 errors. Now, yeah. Right. Yes. Absolutely. Well, El Presidente, I will allow you to take those as I do need to take my leave here to go participate in my Christmas duties. But let me just do a quick shout out to the fans once more. Thank you for being a part of the JSRA and all our events this year. And we look forward to seeing you back in 2024.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As we do see Mr. Penley finally pop up, Mr. Dillon, I will say thank you so much for a year of success. As you said, you have, anyways. So I really appreciate what you've brought for the JSRA. I must commend you with your professionalism. You've done your work, you've done an amazing job, and I'm looking forward to a very fruitful partnership with you as the voice of the JSRA. So, that
Much
being said,
appreciated.
Merry Christmas, happy season, brethren. Enjoy it. Get some sleep, get some driving done. To our fans, thank you so much for watching. But yes, I will drag in a few of these drivers. So if you have anything else to say, you can let me know.
Yeah, no, that's all the best for the season to you and the fans as well. And again, much appreciated for the year in passing and looking forward to the year to come. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Dillon, thank you so much. So we will start with Nathan Brown. Um, I'll just drag him in quickly. Nathan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Nathan, awesome job, brethren. I know you weren't that excited to do this race this evening. I know you don't know COTA as well as you know other tracks. But
Not
that
at all,
being
especially with
said,
this car.
especially with this car on a track that is currently going at 42 degrees Celsius. And I know you did have a disconnect in the early stages of the race, as did Alex just yet not too long ago. Unfortunate. It looked like you finally got your footing in the race, and you look like you're having some fun. Any thoughts on that little incident?
So I came into this race with like 5 laps practice, and they were all terrible. And I was like, I'll just race it because I heard no one was racing. So I was like, since I'm at home, not doing anything. I was like, all right, I'll just join. Just have some fun. And eventually, I actually started enjoying it. Like, I started getting up to pace, and then Kimani was behind me. And I was like, because I overtaken him, that took me by surprise because I was like, I seem to have a little bit of pace. And all of a sudden, his car disappeared, and I was like, oh, I thought he genuinely just crashed. And I was like, oh, all right, just
Oh no.
keep it.
Okay.
And then he rejoined behind me, so I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. And once I saw him rejoin, I was like, I know, because it
Unfortunate,
always does
man.
it in that order where it disconnects, then it rejoins immediately after like 10 seconds, and then I lose permanent connection. So at first I was kind of upset. I was like still lapping around, and then I decided, I got confirmation to rejoin, so I just rejoined and decided to do some laps.
Right.
But the car decided to play with me a little bit, and I had about, I'd say about 50 spins estimated, but I knew
That's it,
that
50
there was
spins.
there was there was no way I could get back in the race because I already had like 3 laps
You were down three
down.
laps,
So I was
unfortunately.
just kind of just trying to just lap until checkout. So
Honestly, bro, I was considering
mhm.
even having a safety car just to bring back the pack, help that, keep the audience engaged, but it would have been unfair to the drivers for something like that. So obviously, we have to
Right,
keep
right.
our heads straight and keep it as fair to everybody as possible. But Honestly, it was awesome. That early scrap with you and Kimani was fun to watch. Chad and I were questioning if you realized that you guys had an opportunity to use each other to get away as quickly as possible. But then at the end of the day, you guys were having fun and we were enjoying watching it. So I have no complaints. But yeah, any final thoughts before the Christmas season?
Well, thanks for having me. Even though I came back came back from boot just like right as it started that weekend. Thank you for letting me join, and I had fun. So I won't be back for a little while, but I hope to come back and start have some competitive fun.
Of course, bro. Stay safe. We are talking off the air for your future engagements in the sport. So excited to have you. You are one of our favorite drivers over here at the JSRA, brethren. So just keep doing what you're doing, and put in the work.
Appreciate that, man.
All
Yeah,
right,
have a
bro.
good night.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Alex, can you hear me?
I can.
Brethren, heartbreak. Unfortunate for you there. I don't know if you want to give us a little idea of what happened. Was it light or internet?
It was the internet right there.
Is it
Um,
internet?
yeah, computer was running. The internet seemed to just go away for like 50 to 30 seconds.
Oh no. And it happened on the last lap. Not even one with the +1 lap. Very unfortunate, brethren. That was what Chad would call a Max Verstappen-esque race, where you literally just pulled away. Um, I think you were the only person to touch the 210s this week. I can
The
confirm that,
210,
right?
throughout the weekend.
Not for the race, but yeah, I believe you did a 210.9 or 8 prior to the
Um,
race.
everyone, I
Prior
think
to the
did
race.
210s. The practice time, not for the same condition, but for the previous condition was 2 minute 8.8.
Right. No man, I'm talking with the hot temperatures because this was the hot week, let's say, or hot race, let's say. But nonetheless, brethren, it was an awesome drive. What were your thoughts on the race? I know it was a low turnout.
Yeah, I didn't expect the low turnout, but at after qualifying at the start, pretty much, Roger didn't really appear in my game until at the top because I was surprised when I see no one beside me, so I was just swerving over to the left to cover off either Isman or someone else behind me. But
Hmm.
Roger, I just hit him and he spawned back at the same time.
Yeah, we ended up seeing that at the start, and you ended up waiting on him. So I would love to hear from his point of view, but was it a case where he didn't have Helicorsa?
No, I was using the
Radar?
radar and I
Right.
also like glanced to the side and he wasn't there.
Yeah.
The moment I hit him, he just appeared on the radar.
Okay, okay. It does look like it did look very unnatural. So when it wasn't anything intentional, worse we saw you waiting. So I'm sure the stewards will get back to us with that. But um, most likely we did assume that that was a technical difficulty, but the stewards will still look into it. But for the most part, we appreciate the sportsmanship for you to wait for, Roger. Again, the racing was fun. We were hoping for a little bit more battles here and there, but for the most part, you got through the field and you were as consistent as you could be. I think you only had maybe 1 or 2 spins.
Yeah, it was one spin.
Right.
I like accidentally caught my tire. I couldn't really catch that spin and just went off.
Yeah. How were the tires with the temperatures? Let me ask.
Too hot, just too hot.
Yeah, I can imagine this car with those temperatures would be a little bit on the rough side. Well, man, thank you for joining. I am looking forward to sending out the new schedule, so I hope to see you a part of the upcoming 2024 season. There will be many more races and different forms of events. As far as I know, you prefer the Formula One. So we will be looking into Formula One for 2024 as well as rally and other facets of sim racing. So looking forward to see you on board, bro.
All right, thank you for having me, and have a great Christmas.
You too, man. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
All right, guys. And the final person we will be having this evening is Kimani Eastman. First time podium sitter for this series. Kimani, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Mr.
Good night.
Kani Gatari, Mr. Drifter. Well, go on, Bridget.
Yes, sir.
You had a night. I can tell.
Went for a couple spin.
I did make
A
a
wild night.
few. I did make a few mistakes where I did view both you and Nathan during the stream, so I do apologize.
Okay, now I
No,
see.
you understand. There was one moment where as soon as Chad said your name, you spun, so I do apologize.
Yes, yeah. I warned you about it.
That being said, man, how was the race for you?
Well, in the start, the start was quite good. It was more prioritizing the tires, and I just need pass because I was trying to just hold on to him, keeping my tires within a good window. But he spun,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then I spun after.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just take my time and go around the track, keep the tires fine enough, and just finish the race. And Alex had an unfortunate series of events,
Oh
and I got
gosh, man.
second.
Oh gosh, man. Well, if you are to get a podium, it is the second best one. So good job. Unfortunate, man. I know in the start you and Nathan were having that little battle, and it's like he finally found his footing with the car on the track. Because prior to the race, I know you were kind of coaching him to get him up to speed for the race, because I think he did what, 5 laps prior to the race.
More than that, but he just wasn't fast enough yet.
Right.
But as you can see, it didn't really matter about the speed.
Yeah, one, the track conditions, and two, as we have noted before, Nate is a pretty quick learner, so hats off to him. But awesome racing, brethren. You are a huge or integral role, or you do have an integral role at the JSRA as well, one our lead liver designer, which your liver was on showcase for most of this race. Looks amazing as always. Excited to have you for 2024, man. Any
Yes,
question?
sir. Excited to be here.
Anything you want to say? Any last comments before we sign off?
Let me see now. Well, I will only say Merry Christmas at this point. And you know what, Nathan, been training him since a long time. Is a little weapon for Kurt. Little weapon for Kurt.
Yeah, oh yeah, preparing for
So yeah, I'm gonna prepare him for Kurt.
like a baby alien, which is right. I know he said he should be back on, well, stable by about March, April. So that's right before the beginning of the peak performance series, which is something that I'm really looking forward to. We have a new format. Hopefully we can still get on our sponsors so we can properly promote and incentivize the event. So that
Yeah,
being
man, looking
said,
forward to it.
yes, Mr. Kani, always a pleasure to have you, brethren. It was an awesome race, albeit it was only 4 drivers, but it was fun to
Yeah.
watch. You guys still put on a very good show where you could. My appreciation shows no bounds. So we will have our offline racing, and as I said to our commentator, please, bro, enjoy this season, get some rest, and that goes to our fans. Any racers who are still listening, use this time, get some rest,
take a break if you can. If you are like Max Verstappen, your break is sim racing. So we will have our public lobbies. Kani and I will be, and GT Panama, let me say, will be working on a free roam servo that we're pretty excited for, as well as some drifting, some exhibition, some toge. So as we said earlier, stay tuned to our Discord, and our Instagram, because any future event, any future servo, any testing, anything at all, will be posted there. So thank you guys for tuning in, and good night. Merry Christmas to all. Hello.